Hello, my name is William the Avid Reader, and today I'm reviewing 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, written by Yuval Noah Harari in 2018. So this is his third famous book. He's written a couple other famous books that I haven't read yet, so Homo Sapiens and Homo Deus. And this part is organized in 5 different parts. So first one is about technological challenge, the second is about political challenge, the third is about despair and hope, fourth is about truth, and fifth is about resilience. And this book is called here Confronting the Present in a way. The first part is the technological challenge. So he talks about the disillusionment of different people. So globalization has created both winners and losers according to him. And he talks about these different stories we tell ourselves that aren't necessarily true. So you got the fascist story, the Nazi story, you've got the communist story, you've got the liberal story, and the liberal story has won until recently. But now people are becoming disillusioned and they're voting for different populist parties. There's an analogy here that before you voted for a menu, so you took all liberal things, all liberal beliefs, but now you're at a buffet, so you take some aspects of liberalism and populism and disregard others. So, although they may be sometimes authoritarian populism, it's not totalitarian as fascism or Nazism. So there is also talk about how you may have a larger class of unemployment since technology will rapidly develop. AI and artificial intelligence will rapidly evolve in the next 10, 20, 30 years. So 2030 and 2050 we will see huge changes. Bioengineering, technology will start shaping us, but also it will remove a lot of jobs as AI may be more efficient than what humans beings are capable of. So he believes that if you want to institute some government help for people, it's going to be quite difficult to figure out the right thing. So a universal basic income, that's not necessarily a good idea. You have to think of it more nuanced. Then he talks about how it relates to liberty, so you have different choices to make different things. But the technology will shape you very much, which music you listen to, what your beliefs are, things like that, your partner maybe even. Then he talks about equality, how technology may actually contribute to there being more stratification, so the rich may have the ability to pay for transhumanist technological things implemented in them, making them live longer, better medication, while you have a majority of people who don't have access to these things. But I think there's one fatal flaw he disregards with his book here, this first part, with the technological challenge. Now, while you may have huge development in some countries, you will not have that soon in some other countries. So I don't think in India that in the next 10 or 30 years you will have very advanced technology. So you will not have these job problems, I think. And as each industrial revolution comes along, there are new jobs. And he thinks that won't be the case here, but I think it will. So he's a bit pessimistic, and he talks about how government regulation needs to be involved. And you have to think of these things globally. So for example, with climate change and nuclear war and things like that. But I think he overemphasizes some things over others. Then he talks about the political challenge, so communities, so nationalism, civilization, religion, and immigration. He talks about nationalism can be a good or a bad thing. So you've got after nationalism, that can be some good. Then you have different loyalties, but we also need to think of as a global community now and not just a national one. So nationalism in this modern populist sense isn't a good thing, he believes. Then there's religion. So religion can be good but tends to be bad, especially monotheism, as it's inherently intolerant. Religious wars have killed a lot of people, such as the Crusades or the tensions between Muslims and Christians or Muslim and Hindus. And then he has a nuanced discussion on how immigration is. So he basically believes that there are 4 different things that are debatable in immigration, and not either side is really crazy. So the first one is, should we allow people in? Do we have a moral obligation to do it or not? Second is, how much do they have to assimilate? Third is, do we guarantee them the same right? The fourth, I'm not sure, don't remember what it was about, but it's an interesting perspective he offers on immigration. He offers both sides of the discussion. How immigration can be good, but there might be problems. Whether you should force conversion of religions or whether religions could be tolerated. The third part is despair and hope. So there's talk about how terrorism is overemphasized, like a lot of more people die in car accidents or suicide than terrorism and war and things like that. We moved into a new age where people die of self-inflicted things usually, not of our own fault, instead of what society inflicts on us. He talks about how God think that it's not really a real thing. There's no proof that God exists, and that it may be some cosmic weird thing. And what's his part on secularism I found quite odd, because he doesn't say that secularism is just being irreligious. It's a bunch of liberal secular authority. So you believe in evidence and truth, but the thing was, he's talking about secularism. I mean, I'm secular myself, but I don't think secularism by definition means that people are truthful. It's just that they don't believe in God. So, I mean, the Soviet Union was secular, but I think he makes a clear distinction between secularism and then cults, like in North Korea. So you might not have a religion, but it's not secular, he argues. The fourth part is about truth. So talks about how people are ignorant and media maybe facilitates this and we should consume media better. Talks about the justice. There's post-truth now, and relates it back to all traditions. We have always been of post-truth. We have never believed in truth entirely. It's always been a post-truth era with different stories we tell ourselves. I mean, religions are founded on these myths. Then he talks about the genre of science fiction and how it may be becoming the most genre in fiction. But science fiction is often very wrong how it portrays things. It's scientifically inaccurate, not the right messages. But he talks a bit about Inside Out. He also talks about Brave New World and how these different things go together. And the horrifying thing may be that our civilization may not become something like 1984, but more something like Brave New World, where everything is devoid of pain and things like that. And he keeps talking about the need to lessen suffering. So, and the fifth and final part is called resilience, and he talks about education, meaning, and meditation. So, education is we're highly influenced from things when we're young. And the modern education system isn't that great. I mean, don't listen to adults, he basically said, because things are evolving a lot faster now than 1,000 years ago. Like 1,000 years ago, if you knew you're gonna be a farmer, but now you don't know if your job is still gonna exist in 20 years. And the meaning he talks about is that we're not necessarily individuals, we're some biological things, but still and he talks worse things about consciousness. The thing that really scares me with him sometimes is he disregards individualism a lot and thinks that a lot of things are driven biologically only, but doesn't really believe in free will. That's kind of creepy. Then the final part is about meditation, and meditation is you can find your inner self, find the truth by meditating. And you get to control yourself and explore the truth, because that's what it is. It's not some throwaway thing. You can actually find it. It's not that hard. There's discussion about the difference of consciousness and intelligence. So AI may be intelligent but not conscious. So how would I rate 21 Lessons for the 21st Century? I would say 8 out of 10. So I would rate this a great book, but sometimes he goes off track into some crazy stuff. So it's a very important book to read right now, I think. It makes you think a lot about AI and politics, but also about your society, identity, social issues, and your job prospects, things like that. So Yuval Noah Harari describes those things very well, but sometimes he goes off the deep end and thinks that individualism isn't that important, and he's quite elitist, I would say. But yeah, overall, he's a good author. It's a good book, and I think I'm gonna read his other two popular books eventually, probably soon. So yeah, 8 out of 10. You wrote a pretty good book, Yuval Noah Harari. So this was the Avid Reader's review of 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, written by Yuval Noah Harari in 2018. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you guys next time.